Channel 405. Let's go straight into our chat for this morning then. And the Africa Netball Cup was recently concluded in Namibia, where both the women's and the men's netball teams lifted the Africa Netball Cup trophy. This reaffirming South Africa's dominance on the continent. And South African players also dominated the individual accolades, where they took home 5 of the 8 awards on offer. For the men's team, they succeeded in defending their title and crowned off what has been a relatively busier year-end schedule, which included games against Zimbabwe men and a trip to the Fast 5 World Series in New Zealand in November. Now, joining me in studio to speak a bit more on their recent cup glory and the growth of men's netball overall is Lutendo Maiwashe as well as Vukile Zulu, who are 2 members of the South African men's team that recently got that triumph in Namibia. Gents, thank you so much for joining me here in studio. Different setting. I must admit, it's great seeing you sitting down for a change as the towering figures that you are. But let's take it from the back, perhaps, and not look at the African Netball Cup as the final destination, but the journey that you took to get there as the SA men's team, a far busier year than the previous years.
Right. Thanks a lot for having us, Andy. Yeah, you're right. It's been quite a journey. We had our first debut in last year in Botswana. That's where we first played our first Africa Cup, which was pretty great, I would say. We had 4 countries from Africa representing, and then you won't believe it, this time around we had 7, which is a really good number. So I think the growth of male netball in Africa is quite great. You can imagine if you get 3 more countries coming in next year and so on. I think in the coming years, netball for males would really be a thing.
And I want to stay with you, Lutendo, before we come to you, Vukile, in terms of what this means for you as the male netball players, because the narrative previously has been that you've been training very hard, but unfortunately, no games to play. That has changed slightly for you as a team. How have you taken to it and having a bit more international netball competition now?
Well, I think it's good that we've been keeping fit and we've been trying all our best to train. But as you know, male netball, it's still a thing that's growing. So we cannot have as much games as the ladies would have and whatever. But, you know, we appreciate every chance we are given to be on court as males. And we try our best to just give everything that we have, because we don't know what's next. You know, we could be called to go to England or whatever anytime, but we always have to be on our A game.
Yeah, speaking of that, having to stay fit, being on your A game. Let's talk about that journey for you, Vukile, because you coming into it relatively younger, you know, having to learn from some of the more experienced players and also being thrust into the spotlight with the Fast 5 series, where you were the captain of the side in New Zealand and having to marshal the charges there. What was that experience like for you and obviously for the team who are only participating for their second time?
Well, to be honest, it was not easy. It was not easy coming from a Fast 5 team to a national team. But having people like Toti, Stelo, Eugene, who are older in the game, they just helped us and me to be on the same level as them. So it was just a good experience.
And we talk about male netball now as if it's something that is well known. It isn't, right? A lot of people still go, well, men do play netball. Take me through how that has been, because the big vision is for netball to be included as an Olympic sport in, you know, the upcoming Olympics and possibly beyond 2027. And in order to do that, there has to be participation from both females and males, as the big priority is gender parity. So has that changed the optics and how people receive men's netball to say, well, actually, we didn't know that men play netball, but now we're a bit more aware of it?
Well, I think we do get that a lot. I mean, when you try to explain to people that we play netball, they tend to correct you. Do you mean basketball? I'm saying, no, it's not basketball, it's netball for men, you know, and we are getting used to, I mean, we are the only people who can teach other people that this is a real thing and netball really is for men. And besides that, we rely on things like media, you know, television and whatever, just to try and put it out there to people that we do have netball for males.
But how do you deal with the stereotypes then? Because, you know, someone's going to say, well, tall man from Limpopo, why are you playing netball? How do you deal with those stereotypes and people questioning your choice to go into the sport?
Well, I think it's quite uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable at first, but as time goes, you know, you get used to these things. You get used to. But obviously, because our hearts are bigger now, and we know the benefits that we have in netball, we know we love the sports. We are good at the sports, so we just I mean, we are used to it now. We don't. But our main aim at this moment is just to get it out there to people that, guys, netball is there, netball for male is there, and it's not... I mean, people also prefer watching male netball than the ladies because, you know, the speed, the agility and whatever, you know, it's just we overdo everything, which makes it so nice to watch.
Yeah, and also on that one, we had males national champs. We had... I'm not sure the exact number, but it has grown, I think, double the number than before. So it shows that the male netball in South Africa is growing. And hopefully next year we'll have more than this year.
Sure.
Yeah, and indeed, and you do see the reception a bit more in terms of male netball. But I want to zone back then into the Africa Netball Cup because I did say I want to start from the back in terms of the journey getting there. But now talk me through the events of the last week in Namibia and perhaps having to dig deep as a side that you knew you had a target on your back. You're the defending champions. Everybody wants to dethrone you, but managed to get through the week relatively unscathed to lift that trophy at the end.
Well, maybe let me just thank Netball South Africa and Madam President, Ms. Cecilia Mulukwane, for granting us the opportunity to be able to represent South Africa at the Africa Netball Cup. Like I said to you, it's something else to... because we won Africa Cup last year in Botswana, so having to go there with almost everyone being new in the team, we had, you know, people like Vukile and them. It was their first time, and they were just trying to adjust to, you know, the team and the patterns and whatever that we have in the team. We had to, and we also had stronger teams like Swaziland. We played them in the finals. They're quite an impossible team to beat. A very disciplined team. You know, they just do their best to keep the ball in their hands. So it was a pleasure playing them. Teams like Zimbabwe, we played them in the final last year. They came out third this time, but a very strong team also. So I can just imagine how it's going to be in the coming years with more teams coming in, and we're just hoping that no countries, no teams drop. You know, we're looking to get more numbers and more, just to get the male netball out there in the map.
Vukile, I want to bring you in here because, of course, Toti's mentioning the rebuilding phase that the team is going through. And you come into the team at a time where some of the more experienced players who have that, not so many games being played by men netball teams, but have that international experience, have now had to move aside. And a younger crop of players has come through. How would you categorize this current stage in the men's netball team? If someone was to ask you, where do you think you are as a team now, what would your response be?
To be quite honest, as a team, we're doing very well now. Being African champions, it says a lot. And coming in a team very young and defending champions, it brings more pressure on us, new players. So it means a lot. Yeah. I
think Vukile is right. I mean, if you win Africa Cup twice in a row and whatever, I think it means you are ready for, you know, bigger challenges. You know, ready to play against your New Zealand, you know, your Australia, people who have been in the netball industry for quite. I think that's where I think we are.
And as we wrap things up then, what do you think is still missing to get men's netball to where you believe it should be? Is it a case of support, backing, you know, sponsorship-wise, or what is it that you would like to see a bit more of within the game to grow it even further and perhaps see yourselves playing on the World Cup stage in future or perhaps even at the Olympics? Yeah,
Andy, I think you're right, mentioning things like sponsorship and, you know, publicity and everything. I think that's what we lack as male netball in the country. I think if we could get, you know, people reaching out and asking how can we help you guys and what you guys need and everything, so that we are easily recognized out there. Yeah, things, sponsors and things like that would help us a lot to be known, and because we are quite talented, to be honest. Yeah, we just need a few things there and there just to, yeah.
Vukile, from your side?
Yeah, I think that you have touched in everything. So I think it's sponsor and also teaching people out there in the community that there is male netball. So if people can know that there is male netball and they recognize it, it's going to be more easier for us.
Big target is the Olympics. So I need to get your thoughts then in terms of netball as an Olympic sport. Are we there? Are we ready? And should then, male netball be included as would be envisaged if that is the case? Would that be something that excites you as the South African male team?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I think we would really love to be part of the Olympics. And are we ready? Definitely, without a doubt. I think we are there. We just need, like I said earlier, a bit of a push there and there, but 100% performance, talent, we are there.
Of course, the decision doesn't ultimately lie with them. It is a sport that is still looking to get into the Olympics, netball that is. And of course, the big target now is gender parity, which is why there's a stronger push for men's netball to get recognition on the global stage in order for both men and female to participate at the Olympics, should the sport be included. And speaking of participation, of course, we do have our ladies as well who were participating in the competition. But for you, from a personal perspective now, if you're looking at you, Lutendo, best shooter at the African Netball Cup, best shooter at the national champs. What's next for you? What is that one thing that you feel has eluded you that you still want to get?
Well, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I feel like I'm at a level where I would be happy to get like a bit more challenged. Having to play leagues overseas. Your Australia, your New Zealand. I think I would like to gauge myself where I am in terms of as far as netball overseas is concerned.
Quick, let's give you the last word since you have so many few words to say, Vukile. What is it that you would like to see yourself achieve going forward?
I think every male player has a goal, which is to go play overseas. Playing overseas will be a good thing for us and for me specifically. Because the level of play, the intensity, it's very high. And I can tell you, in Fast 5, it helped a lot of us who were there coming to the African Cup, the intensity, mentally and physically. So I think play overseas will be a good thing for me.
I'll certainly hope you're going to get your wish granted sometime in the future. We'll have